Good morning. Uh-oh.
What happened?
I don't know. It would appear we have an echo.
Well, at least you're on the air. I can see
Yeah,
the sign.
I see
Okay.
it on the air. I don't hear an echo.
I don't hear an
Okay.
echo either, Bob. Maybe it's just your ears.
Which
Okay.
need hearing aids.
Okay. Good morning. Welcome to B Cube Sunday morning. We are here today. It is now May. Anybody here figure out where the first third of the year went? Tell me because it seems to have vanished. Clare is out there somewhere, and good morning, Clare. Uh, she will be with us shortly, I hope. And today we have an interesting story because everybody, I mean, not everybody, I mean, when you hang around with authors, there's always a new release out there somewhere,
Mhm.
someplace. And
Mhm.
as soon as I get my buttons all pushed, I'll be able to display it for you. But right now, our plan today is first, I'm going to tell you that our new book, B Cube Presses, our new book. Just a second. I'm blinding people. There's an age I get to where the light reflecting off my forehead uh, actually has the qualities of a Type 4 laser, and you have to wear glasses to be able to observe it. Now, the and bring our uh, there we go. Hey, folks are here despite I screwed up when I first put the link out. I had the date wrong.
Oh, well, that was really not a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you guys didn't notice. But so I'm not sure I should even tell you. But good morning to those of you who survived my incompetence and my ineptness, my lack of ability to keep order and structure in the universe. You know, I feel like I'm the Donald Trump of podcasts.
Oh, don't denigrate yourself like that.
Well, no.
No, no,
Oh,
no, no, no.
it's
You
just
only
how
get to
bad
be
I
Donald
feel.
Trump if there is pedophilia.
Nobody has only got one part to them. While yes, Donald Trump has definitely had viable complaints about his pedophilia. The uh, I can only say that two things: one, he's never been convicted, and two, he owns the Justice Department. So I don't know if those two
Coincidence.
are
Hmm.
coincident, but they exist. But oh, we can be a tenacious bunch. Yes, Cheryl. No matter you can run, but you can't hide. I think is
Oh,
what
the
they're
poor
saying.
child.
But
Hmm.
there's just gonna say we are still plugging away at our new book, Our American Storm, or An American Storm, or just a plain old American Storm. We are debating, and since I haven't bought my ISBN numbers from myself yet, I already own all the ISBN numbers. I just have to assign them, and that I don't know yet which one I'm going to be. But I do know this: that book is the biggest book we've ever put out. I mean, not only do we have the joy of a Jim Wright and a David Gerald, and you even have a story by Pearl Sims, bless her heart, and
Who's Pearl Sims?
Pearl Sims is my grandmother. The
Mm.
but when I need to be innocuous, I borrow her.
Mhm.
But we've also got in there just incredible number of poets. We got 20 some odd poems coming in that book. So it actually qualifies damn near as a book of poetry. Um, David Gerald has got a piece that I thought was pretty nice. Bruno Lombardi, one of our alumni from the very first book. Um,
I love Bruno's stories.
oh.
So anyway, what are we doing?
What did I'm reading Jenna Moore's? She says I speak in complete sentences. Now, was that an instruction that she wants me to begin to speak in complete sentences?
No, so you can't compare to Trump because you do.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. Well, but that I'm also not a thief, liar, manipulator of people.
Adultery. Don't forget adultery.
Yeah, well, it's a rough world, and
Comparisons are invidious.
hey, let's just leave Trump alone. That poor man has had a very rough life. I mean, you know what it must be like to suffer bone spurs and have to face all your friends. All your friends get to go fight a war and die and come back with their body parts in different containers. He had to suffer bone spurs. But anyway, so we got that great new book coming out. We're aiming at in June, which seems like tomorrow at this point.
Yeah.
And but Phil, I'm going to turn it over to you to provide all the introductions of she who is gazing at her screen, trying to make sure she's all ready to go.
I'm trying to.
Yeah. Okay. Well, today we're talking primarily to Brenda Clough, a longtime friend and colleague. And she has a new book out just a couple of days ago. And this is one of those books that just kind of jumped into your computer from 10 years ago.
Well, it is, it is one of those books. Well, I could show you the precursor book. What I did was I wrote a novel and Tor published it. And it's right here. This is How Like a God, which is a Tor novel that came out in the 1990s and pretty well sank like a stone. It was reviewed in the New York Times, but nobody bought it. And so it didn't go anywhere. But because I'm the way that I am, I went and wrote a sequel anyway. And then I wrote but that one wasn't, I reread them both recently, and they're not, the second one's not very satisfactory. But I had begun writing a third one. And it was revolved around the collapse of the American democratic system and the reboot of it. And back then in the year 2000 or so, when I was doing this, the manuscript ground to a halt because I couldn't figure out why you would wish to reboot the American system. It would seem it was going along fine. The United States was at the top of the world. And why would you want to mess with success? You own a Maserati. Would you really throw a monkey wrench into the works? And so that was so touching and sweet of me. I think about it now. But I couldn't complete the novel at that point in time. And so I put it away. And then last year or the year before of that, I fished it back out again off of a thumb drive. And holy cow, I realized this would be it. I really need to reboot American democracy. It's in desperate need of it. There are Heather Cox Richardson says this every week, that we need to think of new things to do with the American system, because at this moment it is in a crying need for Control Alt Delete and getting it back up there. So I zoomed through and wrote this book, and it is I I think I completely redid the voting system, and we could discuss the exact problem that I fixed upon and how I fixed it, if you really felt I needed to do that.
Okay. Well, on your screen, Bob has placed the link to the ebook at Bookview Cafe. And both Brenda and I are long time members and proponents of the book publishing co-op of Bookview Cafe. And anyway, so you delved into your hard drive and you dragged up off the screen, and this is one I have not been involved in, but in a lot of Brenda books, I do a beta read or proofread or something. This one I have not read yet. And so I'm very interested how you are melding to all the disparate elements of this book. You have the reboot of democracy, which is a book in itself. You have the reboot of live musical theater as well.
Well, we are old enough to remember the song by Simon and Garfunkel, and I think it was I can remember the album it was in, but Paul Simon sings, "Is the theater really dead?" And that was a conundrum they were wrestling with in the 60s, that whether the television would completely slay theater, and of course it didn't. But eventually, I think that, and I've in conjunction with this book, I took a few theater courses down here at Portland State University, and there is a worry that AI will slay live theater, because if everything can be, they already did this with Princess Leia. You can just digitize the actress, de-age her, and bring her back on screen as the young Leia Organa in the last movie, and she wasn't even alive at that point. And so you can do that, and Carrie Fisher, and if you could do that, if you could actually cast the movie with a young Harrison Ford playing against a young Humphrey Bogart, where would you need a live human being to do it? And so they perfect this in the novel. In the history of the novel, they perfected this. And now acting is essentially where you go to Hollywood at the height of your beauty and skin tone, and they scrape your appearance, your gestures, your voice, your acting, and then boom, you're out of there. Go away and get old, because now they have you digitally, and they can make you do anything. And of course, there's the allied big thing where you no longer need to find a real partner for sex. You could create somebody. You could very damagingly paste there. You can do this now. In fact, you can find porn where you can paste the face of whoever you want to into the narrative, if porn has a narrative. And you can also do this, I'm sorry to say, with snuff. You can kill people virtually.
Yeah.
And, no real blood, no nothing. This is, I'm sure it's psychologically damaging, but in the book, in this novel, it has completely flowered and gotten completely a whole thing. And it makes both personal relationships difficult. And of course, it killed live theater, a very expensive art form, stone dead. So a whole generation goes by, and naturally somebody says, we're going to raise the dead from the coffin, open the grave, raise the corpse up, call the lightning bolt down, and we all scream, it's alive. So my hero, who is, and these two plot engines do tie together. The hero of the novel is Edwin Barbarossa, and one of the problems with American democracy, he has fallen into the gears with this, and it's going to crunch him up. But he is not paying attention, because he got drawn into a project to put on the first live Broadway musical in 30 years. And so he's busy doing that while his danger over here with American democracy is steadily increasing. And they're busy, doing theater things and having And finally, everything comes to a head. Opening night, his life is in danger. He has to flee, and we do the whole thing.
Yeah. I remember, 20 or more years ago, Connie Willis came out with a book where they're remaking old movies with new casts digitally. The only way to get a job as an actor, actress, whatever, is to vaguely resemble somebody, a famous actor, and they can make you up and insert you for fill-in scenes.
It sounds like Zelig. Do you remember Zelig, the Woody Allen movie? And there's sort of like a lot of ways to do that, to think about it. But the idea that you could actually go and be in a movie with Rita Hayworth or Humphrey Bogart, you know, it is alluring to think about, and you essentially you can do it now with enough computer power behind you. You could do it, and so gradually, I don't believe that this will actually happen. I believe that the charms of live theater are irresistible, but already it's a niche thing. Not everybody goes to see Lion King. Not everybody can afford to go to see Lion King.
I
And
would love to.
yeah, it's really costly, and it's, you know, et cetera and so forth. And you'd have to drive into downtown to see it because they're not going to bring it out to your town out there. So it is, I can see it happening. And that's sort of what this is. Science fiction. It's not historical fantasy. It's not historical. This is hard science fiction. And that's what you do with science fiction. You say, what could go wrong with this technology? Let's think about that.
Yeah. So that's an old book. You are currently writing something brand new right off the top of your head, and you're throwing out 5,000 words a day, it seems like.
It's sort of like sitting on a like that Olympic thing. You're sitting on a luge sled and you're going down this icy chute, which they ice down and freeze overnight. It's really kind of bad. I began writing a book 2 weeks ago, and I am now well past the 20,000 word mark, and they're having the most horrible adventures. Oh, it's so dreadful. That's what I should ask you about, because what this is it is a true romantasy. It's a romance novel with magic. Oh, and it's historical too. It's I think at this moment it's set in 1500, the reign of Henry VII, and I forget whether the Henry VIII is born yet, but if he is, he's
Henry VIII was born in 1491.
Right. So he's just a little boy at this moment. So
Right.
it's just at that period.
He has an older brother, so he's not
Right,
even
Arthur.
in the running.
Yeah, and in fact, he was going into the church. We are having so much fun. I will have to have you beta read this manuscript, but I have to write it first. But it is okay. But it is a romantasy, a true romance. And I don't even want to write a romantasy, but it just said it wanted to be that, and I had to do it.
Yeah. Now
So-
I did read the short story this spring from.
Yes.
And I could see it is a long-running series that could go forever.
You know what I was thinking about doing? And there's a couple ways I could do this. The first thought was I can already see it falling into a trilogy structure. And I don't think I can face it. But if I have to, I will do it. I will write 3 volumes. I can already foresee it happening. But it occurs to me that what I should do is write a series of novellas and longish short stories, and just keep on shoveling them out onto an unsuspecting universe, and then collect them into a group of works.
Yeah,
and I think I could do that, and that might be more fun. And if I did that, that's just so horrible. I'll have to give this some serious thought. I had not written a romantasy before. And in fact, I don't even think of myself as a romance writer, but the tools and the tropes fall easily into my hands. And it's,
but I'm thinking this is turning into a pattern for you. I remember when you got this really cool idea, you were going to rewrite Wilkie Collins' Woman and Boy, and where they play up this blonde, innocent little girl that has to be rescued, where the real star of the show, the center of the action, is her older half sister, Marion, who's no money, is strong, capable organizer, and she goes about rescuing her baby sister.
It is that was how the original book was set up, and what was fun about that particular novel, about Wilkie Collins' original novel, The Woman in White, was that everyone could see that Marion was the hero. She
Mhm.
got fan mail written to the publishers, men saying, "Is this character based upon a real woman, and is she eligible to be proposed to? Because I'll marry her." And
Yeah,
that's really bad. That's bad. That's when you have a real fan base, is when people offer to
yeah.
marry your
But
characters.
you went from idea to 12 books in a record amount of time, because Marion is one of those characters that just grabs you and hangs on.
It is really kind of scary when that happens, but I'm let it all be kind of a girl, and so if she wants to keep on falling off of cliffs and shooting alligators as they rise up out of the lake to bite you on the ankle, sure, you just do that, honey. Uh, that was a book about that was a series about packing in as much Victorian melodrama as you could get in there, every single book. And so you had to have every single book had to have a fun thing happen, like the train hits something and falls off the track and rolls down into the ravine, that kind of a thing. And climbing on a cliff, the sea eagle goes wrong.
Hippos trampling people in a zoo in Scandinavia. That,
Yeah, I had to keep a list of the things that happened in those books so that I wouldn't repeat my effects.
yeah,
There's a limit to how many times Theo can be kidnapped and kept in jail. Okay, there's just a limit.
right,
I
right,
don't want him to be imprisoned every single book, so she has to be rescued.
right. But he had a lot to be in prison for,
Well, yeah,
by
yeah,
Victorian standards, and
yeah. The bigamy you can admit is a bad thing, but there was the business which he really was guilty of distributing birth control information, which at that moment was illegal. So
mhm,
yeah, he actually did commit a crime there, and he was smart enough to couch it completely in medical and religious terms, and so he could squeak out from under being jailed for pornography. But that was a close one.
yeah.
So we
But
had a good time.
this idea raced through a book in record time, and then having to sit down and cut it
Mm.
apart and put it back together again.
Well, actually, that's good because you know that it's in the rewrite of the a book that actually makes it a good book. I forget who it was uh, that who said that writing the first draft is essentially vomit it all out on the page so you can look at it.
Yeah, I
And
think
that is true. Some famous writer, Stephen King, somebody said that, and it's true because unless you write it, you can't rewrite it.
right.
It's I suppose there are people
Mhm.
who just sit there and think about the book and then finally they write it and it is perfect as the word hits the page.
No, 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 no,
I don't know
no,
anybody
no, no,
like that.
no, no. You know, I have had writing students who insisted that's the only way to do it, and they outline and do character studies to the death before they can sit and write the book. They never write the book.
Well, and that one of the things that you have to be aware of is that people don't read the outline. They do
No,
not look at the weapons tables. The combat schedule, the timeline, it doesn't exist except in the back pages of the Return of the King at the end of the Lord of the Rings, where you have the
mhm,
timeline. That's not what people read, it's not what people love, and it's not the story. So
right,
it doesn't exist except as the story, and unless the story is super, it doesn't matter whether the phases of the moon hook up to Frodo's journeys across Middle Earth. Okay, you
right,
can fix that, but you can't fix it if the story is a bore.
right. I when I was still teaching community college writing classes,
Mhm.
somebody in the romance community came through with 80 questions to ask of your character.
Mhm.
And it, boiled down to what brand of toilet paper do they use, how they vote politically, where they buy their clothes, what are their food preferences. By the time you finish the 80 questions, you don't need to write the book.
No.
You know everything you need to about the character.
And I don't want to discover their toilet paper by being told. I want to watch the character walk into Kroger's, look at the empty shelf where the Charmin was, and have a meltdown right there in the middle of the grocery aisle and drum her heels on the floor. And the store manager comes and says, "Susan, you cannot keep on doing this. Get out of here. We're going to bar you from this store." And then there's this big brouhaha. You want drama. You don't want to hear about it.
Right. But I learned more about my characters writing the first 3 chapters than I do about any more,
Absolutely.
those questionnaires. And that's one of the reasons why in traditional publishing, a proposal for the book is a synopsis in 3 chapters. And the synopsis is really the only place in writing where you get to tell rather than show, because you are condensing an entire book down to 3 pages, 10 pages at the most, depending on the publisher. But those first 3 chapters happen, and you go, oh, my character wouldn't do that at the end of the book without this tremendous growth arc. And so but your readers never read the synopsis.
Nope.
That's
with any luck, they will never see any of that back matter.
Right. That's between you and your editor. And if you work with the same editor over a period of time, they get to know that the synopsis that's submitted isn't what's going to happen.
No. And I think editors know that. Do you know the story? Have you heard the story about the Romance Writers of America New Writers Contest? Did you ever hear about that story?
When I was a member of Romance Writers of America, I submitted to the Golden Heart, which is up in
Was that the one where you had to submit 3 chapters and an outline, and they would pick the best one, and the first prize was publication? I've never been an artist.
Yeah. Well, the first prize was just within the organization, and it was they give you a little necklace with a heart on.
Oh, well, that's nice.
So it's the Golden Heart. But to win the Golden Heart,
right,
was almost a guarantee of publication. Not always. I knew a couple of people who won it and then could not find a publisher. And that was really at the beginning of the Romantasy. Their books didn't fit the Harlequin template. But I've known a couple of people who won it and then could not produce the novel.
That is actually not unusual. And I think this is the contest we were talking about, because the goal of from RWA's point of view, the goal was to have the contest. People would submit the 3 chapters in the outline, and then somebody would win. And then like 2 years later, the next time they had the award, and she would come on holding the book up above her head and saying, "Look, it came out. This is my book." And everyone would applaud like mad, and RWA would be happy. And so the whole point, in other words, was to get a book out of the whole Megillah.
Right. Yeah.
And it turned out that they had difficulties doing that, because what the contest was set up for, they were selecting 4 writers who could do a dynamite 3 chapters and an outline, but who could not finish the book.
Right. And I knew one of those. People. She had a dynamite idea and was a beginning writer. And so she submitted, and they said close but no cigar. And she submitted, she tweaked and twisted and played with that synopsis in 3 chapters and submitted it like 5 times. 3rd time she made it to the finalist list. And it was the 5th time that she won it. And then they gave her a deadline, and she didn't know how to write the rest of the book.
Someone has worked out the statistics, and I don't have good numbers about this because I'm not so great with numbers, but I remember the general thing.
Mm.
Of the people, of the 100 people who are sitting there and saying, I think I will write a book, 90 of them will never actually write anything. They are just thinking about writing a book, and they'll continue to think.
But only one will actually write the book. One of those 100.
Only one of them. I think that only one of them will actually write a book. And of the people who begin the book, of 100 people who begin writing a book, only about 10% of them actually finish the manuscript. They actually write it from the beginning to the end. And unfortunately, if you're going to sell it, if the publisher is going to publish it, you have to have a complete manuscript. You do not ever go on to Amazon and buy 1/3 of a novel. You just don't do that.
Yeah.
It has to be done. And
Yes.
what that means is that and in fact, RWA finally changed the rules of the contest. They said, you can't just submit 3 chapters and an outline. You have to submit the complete manuscript, because they needed to get it to where you could hold up the freaking book.
Right.
You had to do that.
You would not be judged on that full manuscript, but you had to prove that you had written the
because
book.
if you can't do it, it's not publishable. And if you cannot finish writing it, it's never going to be anywhere near publishable.
Right. So you need to do more than just tweak the proposal, which is
or the 3 chapters, which can be solid gold. They can be the most thrilling 3 chapters in the world, but that only exists as the first 3 chapters of the book.
Right. And
so a lot of the work that people put into, and I'm on groups on Facebook that are very, very new writer oriented. People put more energy and time into the query letter. It worries you. It worries you because you want to say, you are putting this much energy, right? This much care, this many rewrites into the book itself, aren't you, honey? Because if you're not, this is it's not to get them to the query letter, and then the agent looks at it, and then they say, then the whole thing was a waste of energy.
Yeah. There's a local woman, her pen name was Susie Pizzuti, and she writes comedic romance. She sold 5 books on 1 query letter, one page. But she was a member of RWA and had been hearing the horror stories, and she had 3 of those 5 books written before she sold the first one.
We were talking about the Marion novels. I wrote all 10 of them. I wrote 10 of them before we went to publication. And I don't know if you remember that during the COVID year, I put 1 out a month. I wasn't writing them 1 a month. That would be insane. I had written them already. And having them all under your hand is very, very powerful, because then you can go through and say, she needs another son in there. Let's go through and pop another son in. If I make her pregnant in book 2, she can have it in book 3, and then off we go. And then by the time I need that son in book 9, he's alive and they're able to get into trouble.
Right. Yeah. That, when you're writing a saga of that depth and length, you need to have that, go back and be able to plant the seeds, so to speak.
To tie it together.
Yeah, to tie it all together. And that happened because you wrote them all so fast. You had them all.
Yeah, that really it really helps to have them under your hand. And at that point, I was able to write 2 or 3 of them a year. That's really, really, really excessive.
Because they're big books. They're 100,000 word books.
Yeah, they're real true novels, 100,000 words. But I could crank out 2 of them a year without an eye blink, and that's you shouldn't do that. I'm sure it's bad for your health.
When I was younger, I was doing 2 books a year. 1 big fat hardback historical, and 1 or 2 smaller but still 100,000 word dragon books, and for paperback. But that was when I was much, much younger and did not fall asleep at my keyboard.
Yeah, or if you're not working like a full-time job, or if you're you don't have kids, there's a lot of life things that prevent people from cranking like that. They say that the great Victorian writers like Thackeray and Dickens could write, they would write the book serially. Oliver Twist is written chapter by chapter, and then he'd dash over the manuscript, hand it to the magazine, and they'd publish that chapter. So he had to keep all the balls in the air because he couldn't go back to rewrite. But the reason he could do that was he had a wife and servants to keep him alive, so
Right.
that he didn't have to cook. He didn't have to take care of the kids. He didn't have to wrestle with any of this other stuff. He could just concentrate on keeping all the pieces of Oliver Twist together.
Right. Right. And what I was going to say is gone, which is another problem as we age.
It'll come back to you.
Yeah, it'll come back to me.
Hang on.
Yeah.
I have a
Andrew
note here.
Lucas is up here and he says, life finds a way to disrupt your productivity. Don't we know it?
Well, I'm sitting here looking at Claire's feed, and she said 3 major health issues cropped up in the household over the last 24 hours, which is why she is not here. Shit just happens in life. And so you have to, you know, at least writing is one of those things where you can put it down and go and handle this crisis, because
Yeah.
there are jobs where you just cannot do that. You know, being an astronaut, you know, you just couldn't bail out.
But you're guaranteed a bestseller when you write your adventures as an astronaut.
Oh, we cannot get into politics, but did you see they're hoping that Mark Kelly will run for president? We have never had an astronaut president. I'm in.
Yeah. So, and yeah, that's
We can't
a whole
veer away.
different issue.
I know what we should do. We should talk about the musical that I had to write for
Yes.
Off the Screen, because when I was writing the novel and the characters said, I think we should put on a musical. And I said, what were you thinking about putting on? And they said, we were thinking that we should stage, you know, because musical theater is dead. We're going to bring it back to life. We need an ancient and classic hit. So we were thinking about staging Oklahoma. And I said, I would have to talk to the Hammerstein organization and get permission to quote lyric and staging and characters. And I don't think the Hammerstein organization, which holds the rights to all of those things, is going to play ball. True. I just don't think they would have. And if I had to license it from them, it would cost more money than I have. So I said, the simplest thing for me to do, if you insist on staging a musical, dear characters, is for me to write the book and the lyrics. The book is the story, the story of that happens in the musical. The lyrics is the lyrics of the songs that they sing. The score is the music that they are singing. And I was not going to write the score because I'm not a musician, but the words I can do is I can do you the book and the lyrics, and then we'll worry about everything else later. And the character said, well, if you insist, but it has to be as good as Oklahoma. And so I said, fine. But then what I was able to do was to force the musical, the fictional thing that they're working on, to mirror the actual stuff of the novel itself. And so there's a real nice, the things that are happening to the characters. And Eddie is writing lyric and score. He's the musical guy. And they hire another guy to do the book. And so there's a lot of good stuff about the way the drama affects people's lives and the way it mirrors the situation. And so the whole thing is orchestrated in a very satisfactory way from the writer point of view. And I had to write the whole thing, the book and the lyrics. And I've taken some courses at PSU about this. And I had to thank the theater department, because I essentially, not only did I pump everybody for a lot of information, but I bodily stole the theater department's building to put into the novel. The whole thing, the building's just too good. I just stole it.
Jenna Hannah Moore says, like Kiss Me Kate.
Yes, the musical. Well, this is a musical within a novel, and it is. Kiss Me Kate is problematic, but everything's good with a Cole Porter score. Right. And luckily, thank God, I don't have to write the music, because I could never do it. And even the lyrics, I don't believe are really good as musical lyrics, because of course there was no music for them to be sung to. But at least they do the job in the context of the novel. And darn it, you have to imagine the music.
There's a small film, may have been produced independently, but it's about a ballet company, and they're filming Giselle.
Uh-huh.
And the drama among the characters in the background is mirroring the story of Giselle, which is very dark, but they lightened it up with some good puns and whatnot. Starred Baryshnikov.
Oh my God! Well, then that does you right there.
Yeah, but it was.
You could watch Baryshnikov picking up a pizza. It would be worth it.
Right, just the grace that's built into everything.
Yeah. He would just hold this pizza box and you would fall to your knees.
Right.
I can during COVID, a bunch of actors made a film, and this film is called Grand Theft Hamlet, and it is set in the world of Grand Theft Auto, the video game. And I have never played it, but I've watched my grandsons play it, and all it involves is going around through the video game universe and stealing cars and shooting people. That's it. That's the full thing. And so somebody during COVID, because they were bored and they were playing Grand Theft Auto, decided to invite friends to come. It's a multiplayer thing that you can do online, so you can invite your friends in. And they decided to stage a production of Hamlet. And then they made a movie about themselves, staging a production of Hamlet in the world of Grand Theft Auto. And so the actors only appear at the very end. They're all doing their avatars instead. And because it is being held in Grand Theft Auto, every now and then somebody random from the game just drives on by and everyone screams, "Don't shoot me, don't shoot me." But it is very like Hamlet, where random death does occur. You are minding your own business, hiding behind an arras, eavesdropping on your daughter being rejected by Prince Hamlet, and suddenly the guy stabs you right through the carpet. It is so depressing. It's just like the video game. And so, there's a lot of cool stuff with that going on. And so in the novel, I even made it got Dave Smeds to make me the cover of the program of the musical. So there's all kinds of stuff in there. There's a musical, there's the program, it's frightening. So there was a lot of really excessive creativity pumped into this book. And
did you mention Laura Franco's Turtle Dove?
I should. Yes. She's the author of Broadway Revival, and she has a depth of theater knowledge and history that's really unparalleled. She's a true theater maven. And I got her to read the manuscript because I knew that she would pick out every place where I had gone wrong with how the musical was done. There's one major gappiness that I had to insert that that I'm sure no reader will spot it. But mostly it is absolutely accurate. And I did all kinds of fun things. I went down to the Portland Opera and I helped them to do with the lighting. There's nothing like going into the Portland backside of the Keller and looking at the inside of it backstage. So it has been really a fun and interesting experience. And it was, and I think that the book, it's you can just tell from the description, this is a very ambitious novel. And I don't know whether every book I write seems to get to be more ambitious. This romantasy is going to be really, really ambitious. But the last year's book, his Salakian Majesty Requests, was completely about sharks and rock and roll. And
that was up to the point of that book, of his Salacian Majesty Requests. I think that was your best book to date at that time you wrote it. I have not read Off Screen yet.
Well, it is, you just have to sort of it's like being an athlete. Well, darn it, we're just going to keep on doing the Olympics until the body does not let you do it anymore.
Right.
Like those skaters, you just keep on skating until finally you just can't do it anymore.
Yeah. The figure skater.
Right.
the young man.
Right.
Anyway, every time he retires from skating, he gets cancer. So he goes back to skating, and the cancer goes away.
Well, it's a sign, God reaches down and goes poink on your head and keep on skating. What more do I have to do to make you do it?
Yeah, and he was he did a Make-A-Wish
Right.
program, and there was this young girl. She was not dying of cancer, but she had cancer, and she just wanted to go. Scotty Hamilton, yeah, she wanted to see him skate. He actually brought her onto the ice and skated with her.
That is so nice.
Yeah, and she was not expecting it, and it was, tearjerker moment for everybody.
Oh, that
Yes,
is very
Carol,
nice.
I remembered the name just as you put it up on the chat. But
I love it when artists are generous like that. That is so sweet.
yeah, and at some point further back in the chat, Bob asks, "Does your dad have a barn?" Goes back to the old
Oh, right.
Rooney and Judy Garland movies.
Right.
I've got a barn. Let's put on a show.
Well, in this particular book, a theater professor at a university, which I made up. So even though I stole the building from Portland State University, this actually takes place at a fictional campus of the University of Virginia. The University of Virginia in Leesburg, Virginia, so that it's close enough to Washington, D.C. for all that bad governmental stuff to happen. And also I know that area fairly well. So it was easy to do that. But since she's the college professor, she's able to say, look, I got a grant from somebody, an arts organization, and we're going to do this. And if it completely tanks, if no one's interested in seeing live theater, and we all just, it dries up and dies, that's okay. I will write a book. It'll be an academic tome about it. And all you guys can go off and, continue flipping burgers or whatever it is that actors do when they cannot be actors. And because and at that point, acting is so depressing. I put all of these things into the program for the fictional show, but the actors describe, I got into this show because the college professor came down the escalator at the subway station and I was there busking, and she gave me her contact information, and here I am. She has to scrape up everybody because the entire theater industry is dead. She got the guy who was doing the siding on her house to do the sets because there's nobody doing that anymore. It's all virtual. Why would you spend money on it? There's a lot of like fun things sort of hidden in there that I just had a good time with. And it is like writing a query letter. It will not improve the work in any way. It's just fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Forgive my distraction. We have a critter alert. I just saw 3 deer.
Oh, okay. Very good.
And they're bounding through the woods. I think it was a mama, an auntie, and a little tiny baby.
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah. Well, you really live out in the wilderness.
Oh, yeah. 10 feet outside my window is designated wetlands forest wilderness.
Oh, there you go. Well, that must be beautiful. I get sirens outside my window, but I have the window shut so you cannot hear it. Do we have things in the chat that we need to look at? Unfortunately,
I've been kind of keeping an eye on it, and you guys are amazingly quiet today.
I know.
Bob put up the craft or art of writing is the clumsy way to find symbols for the wordlessness, according to Steinbeck. The utter loneliness of a writer tries to explain the inexplicable, and sometimes, if he is very fortunate and if the time is right, a very little of what he is trying to do trickles through, not ever much. And if he is writing wise enough to know it can't be done, then he is not a writer at all. A good writer always works at the impossible. According to
yes, I can say I do that. I'm a creature of impulse, and I don't think about it. There are writers I think who think good marketing thoughts and think things like, I could make a lot of money writing about vampires, sexy vampires. That's hot, but I don't ever do that, and that's
Yeah.
you know, if only I could write about sexy vampires.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't do vampires.
I missed out completely on the 50 Shades of Grey thing, so I didn't do sexual bondage. I feel so bad. And you, if you want to worry about those trends, then you can try to catch the trend. And I'm sure that I don't even want to write romantasy, but they just insisted on doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
A girl can't do anything about it.
I have found out that that's all I've ever written is romantasy. Just that when I started writing, we did not have that category,
right?
Subgenre.
And I'm going to write an article about this, I swear. But there is a lot of there's like every novel has some romance in it, except for certain very hard science fiction novels where it's only guys in outer space or something like that. But most novels have a romantic component in it.
Mm-hmm.
Robin Hood has Maid Marian,
right.
Achilles has Briseis, there is always something in there. And there's also very frequently a mystery in it. And even though it's not a mystery, a lot of the Vorkosigan novels, for instance, involve a mystery. We're trying to find out the guy who is doing this bad thing, and Miles Vorkosigan goes off and wrestles with it. But it's not a mystery. They're not marketed as mysteries. They have rocket ships on the cover. What more do you want? It's science fiction. But there's that component in the plot. And it's the same also with the romance component. Miles Vorkosigan's love life, number 101. So and we've had this discussion that I swear I'm going to write this article, but it is, there are some things that are like in cooking, they're like anchovy, it flavors everything. And there are other things that are like onion, where you put onions into everything, just about everything. That's why an onion allergy is so rough, because it's a basis for like entire cuisines, all Mexican cuisine, all French cuisine, that kind of thing.
When I was in Romance Writers of America, it was right at the beginning of adding paranormal elements to romances. And one of my colleagues went back and read a bunch of hard-boiled science fiction written by men. And the love interest was a woman you would kiss goodbye in the morning, go off and have your adventures, and then it's, hi honey, I'm home at the end of the book.
Look, I brought this back from Altari 14, and
that was considered romance at the time. And so those colleagues went out and started adding women into science fiction, just like Uhura on the bridge of Star Trek. Black and female, and she's an officer. And when she says, Captain, everybody on the set stops and looks at her, waiting for the shoe to drop.
Bad news, man.
Yeah. And when you add characters like that to a novel, at first they were, horror. You added a woman to my
beautiful male fantasy.
Yeah. And she's fully clothed.
Well, you've heard the phrase competence porn? And for many, many years, of course, it was totally the provenance of men to be in competence porn. And even the current example, Project Hail Mary, is mostly men. Except the alien may be sexless, who knows? But it is, I'm thinking of like Doc Savage or MacGyver, where essentially the guy is able to just really be very, 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 very competent. And it's different when you make women do that. When you have a woman being the competent person. When you have a Marian coming through and everyone cowers and says, oh, no, honey, don't do that. It's so hard to get the bloodstains out of the grout on the floor.
Right. It's when I wrote my first nonfiction book, Magna Bloody Carta,
Uh-huh.
one of the reviews on Goodreads was, "I love competent women." I'm like,
Oh,
"Oh,
yes.
thank you, thank you." You know, somebody actually called me sexy because of my competence. I was a history major. I got pissed at a politician who said that we don't need the Constitution. We need to go back to the Magna Carta. And I said, "Excuse me, have you even read the Magna Carta?" I doubted that politician had read the menu at the restaurant the night before.
That means that means he's in the U.S. cabinet today, isn't it? That's exactly
I
what it
don't
means.
think she is. Bachman. I think she's kind of disappeared because she was.
Thank you, God.
She Trump looks like a genius in comparison to her. But anyway, I wrote a book.
Mhm.
Took each clause of the Magna Carta one by one and explained it in the context of the time it was written.
Did
And
you ever send that?
there's our host reminding us that we're
Oh,
down
yes,
to
the
4
time has
minutes.
come.
So take the sage, Bob.
Hey, I just want to say that you have always, knowing you for as long as I have and enjoying talking to you and reading you, your discussions over the years of the Magna Carta have been wonderful and
Thank you.
appreciated.
Thank you.
It's good to know a competent woman.
Thank
I know several.
you.
It's always been good.
Yeah. Well, in later reading, I finally figured out where Clause 56 came from. And it says that a woman may only testify against a man in cases of the death of her husband.
Sure.
And what it comes down to is at the time it was written, trial by combat was still legal, and women could not enter combat. She would have to find
A champion.
a champion to stand up for her. So if she's testifying on anything less important than the death of her husband, she can't find a champion, a man who's willing to die for her. They might die for the honor of her dead husband, but not for her. So anyway, that's where that clause came from.
You're deep in the weeds, honey.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things that is fun about being a writer. You can just go right down there, deep, deep, deep into the weeds.
Yeah. Okay, so we're winding up. Brenda, remind us again of the title of your book.
The title of the book is Off the Screen, and it's hard science fiction, and it's up on Bookview Cafe. We just do many fun things around here, and I guess that's the book of this year.
Okay. And the Lord Byron's Curse is actually a reprint of the Transference Engine, which tanked in traditional publishing because no one ever did anything. It kept getting lost in the cracks. I have done some serious rewriting.
New cover.
New author. You know, I put it out in my own name rather than the pseudonym Julia Verne St. John, which tells you right there that it's steampunk.
Yes, and also you have a new title.
Right, it was the Transference Engine. It's now Lord Byron's Curse. A new cover, a whole bit, and new. If you've read the book, if you're one of the 2 people who read the book, it's the same story, but I believe it's better written. I did that much editing on it, which is, that's the beauty of being an independent writer.
You can screw with it again.
Yeah,
and that's one reason why I don't want to read my original Daw novels, because I know I'd be forced to rewrite them, and 4 years of my life would vanish out there as I did it. So I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to let them be artifact of history. You stay over there, honey.
I was with Daw for over 20 years.
Yeah. I had 4 novels out through them, two novels out through Tor, and then I began to fly into the wild blue yonder. Should I show you another book? Should I show you
You've
another?
got, well, it's just now 10 o'clock. So
Oh
you
yeah,
got,
well here I'll show you another book.
I'm
This is just coming out next week, and it's a collection of stories about Odysseus. So it's quite cool, and I have a story in it.
we'll try and I look forward to hearing from you on it. And I just wanted to follow up on something I had alluded to earlier.
Mhm.
Um, Nobody reads the writer's work quite like the writer.
Yes.
And one of the things that we're doing here at BQ Press is that we are starting a BQ Reads show
Mhm.
where I bring on the BQ Press writers to read their work. And then we'll plop it over on YouTube where it can die a meaningful death. Uh, but no, the we have wonderful writers, and I've always enjoyed when they get to read.
Mhm.
Last week we had done, or the week before we had done. Cliff Winnig had us brought a bunch of our poets on the show, and it was just a pleasure to let the poets read their work or beg the poets to read their work because they
Mhm.
did such a good job.
Mhm.
So tentatively, we're going to premiere it on Sunday, May 10th at 6 p.m. So we're going to have B Cube Sunday morning, and then we're going to have B Cube Reads Sunday evening.
Exciting.
We are excited about it. We've got a couple of queries out. And if you're one of our writers and you're watching this and you want to read, I can't promise you Sunday evening because we've got our lineup working, but we will be putting a spreadsheet together so that we can post this. Makes it easier to keep track of it once they get
Mhm.
onto YouTube.
Mhm.
And so I'm excited about it. And I will also remind you guys, get out there and make your voices heard. The we talk about a lot of times the evil that is out there, that where the mere fact of taking a picture of seashells in a pattern that
Oh,
is
what
not
a
liked by our Gestapo's boss.
Mhm.
Uh, and if there's no doubt in it, you can let me. I'll say it out loud. 8647. Okay. Having been somebody who got 86 from a couple of bars in my life, uh, for reasons that I'd rather not discuss.
you were much younger.
I was much younger, and I can
Your,
tell you
your
this.
frontal lobe was not properly formed at the time.
Hey, but you know what? The stories are still in there, and they have risen into some of my fiction at times, and I have to love it
Mhm.
because every experience is something to remember and use and build on. For example, Phil talked about the confident woman and the fact that even today we still don't have the proper level of respect, oftentimes, for women who try to stand up. I went to the Tuesday protest, which is a small, very small local protest run by a woman who used to be an environmental compliance officer. So she understands, she knows of which she speaks. And we had it set up so that we had two guys about 100 feet apart ahead of her, and then she was there with her sign. I noticed on 3 occasions people drove by the guys, us, and just ignored us. But when they got to her, they screamed profanities, lifted the double fingered salute to her, and were just rude. And it wasn't once, it was multiple. And I just, the other Bob wanted to go down there and stick my sign through their window until I made their nose bleed, and then drag them out there and ask them if they would, just that it made me angry. But just the mere notion that they would drive by the guy with the sign and no response. But they got up there where there was a woman with an equivalent sign, and they would yell, demean, and debase.
Mhm.
I don't. It helps me understand who the people on the right are, but it doesn't make me understand how their mothers raised them this way. But anyway, that's another
Yeah.
story altogether.
Yeah. Very often it was not the mother who raised them, or she may have done the physical work of raising them, but it was the abusive father who formed their attitudes. If dad has no respect for mom, then why should I?
Very true, and probably a misspeaking on my part.
Mhm.
Uh,
I always yearn to introduce men like that to my daughter, who is a U.S. Army Reserve major in an MP battalion, and
oh,
your tax dollar taught her how to parachute out of an airplane clutching an M16 rifle. It is so frightening to talk to her. So
well,
it
I
would be
just
good
thought
for
you
them.
wanted to let him get married so that you could write a novel on the divorce. Uh,
No, she's married a guy and has 3 sons, and this guy is over 6 feet tall and very, very wide and deep. And between the two of them, they just scatter terror wherever they go. And then the 3 little boys come in and mess up your house. So it's great.
oh, that's the grandma speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they are the cutest kids. They're almost as cute as my grandchildren.
Oh yeah, no, they're really adorable. But that's what I think that has to happen is you need to have really powerful women, undeniably powerful women, women clutching an M16 rifle, and then suddenly they are respectful, and that does them good.
Mhm.
You
And
know,
the only problem is I can't introduce my daughter to all these men. She's tired of beating them up.
I can appreciate this because one of the great parts, and I know we're over, but the great, wonderful pieces of my life have been the women that I grew up with.
Mhm.
My my mother,
Says the man with 7 sisters.
8. Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
my mother who went out and when we were working in the cedar breaks down in Texas, would carry out the post beside me. You know,
Mhm.
my aunt who lived on the farm, who would go out and drive the wheat trucks in the daytime during harvest, and then come home, come back to the house, clean up, cook dinner for all the guys who would come in, and then forget that she had worked all day too.
Mhm.
Or my grandmother on my mother's side, who my most beautiful memory of her, other than it was taking care of the world, she had 9 kids, was that when my mom's car broke down, it was an old straight six Plymouth engine. Seeing her walk through the yard holding up the head gasket that she had taken out of the car because it had blown a head gasket, and she was putting a new one in.
Oh,
Strong,
she can do things I cannot do, that's for sure.
Yeah.
strong women, and going back to BQ
But you
Press.
know, Bob, that is an entirely different panel.
Yes.
And
Yeah, I
it's a
know, but I'm
very
going back
valid
into
one.
you
And
guys brought up the competent women, so let me finish this thought, please.
okay.
Is when Phil,
Mhm.
who I think I referred to earlier as one of the competent women I know, uh, and I know a lot of them, is responsible for helping get BQ Press off the ground. Deborah
Mhm.
Godfrey wouldn't be here without her. Karen Anderson wouldn't be here without her. We have, so I love the fact that we live in a society where we at least they are here, and and we got to continue to make sure we grow so that it doesn't disappear like black voting rights. So anyway, that said, Now I'll go, Phil.
Okay, well, we're 10 minutes overdue, and I have people
not-
banging on my door to take me grocery shopping. So I'm going to say so long, farewell. It's time to say goodbye.
Oh,
And
Wiedersehen.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
we're
thank
going to be
you, Brenda.
musicals for a while. That's the big problem with this. Thank
Yeah.
you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you for
Bye
coming,
bye. You
Brenda.
guys are all wonderful folks. Thanks much.